One, two, one, two. All right, let's roll.
Welcome. You're listening to the Saddle Up Podcast,
where we discuss everything related to UTRGV Athletics. Past or present, we'll catch up with old teammates, friends, and take you down memory lane.
with exclusive interviews.
This is the Saddle Up Podcast.
The voice of your covered walkway streets.
So dope.
This is gonna be awesome.
Stay tuned for new episodes every week.
From Bronx Village to the Fieldhouse,
We'll cover it all.
Hell yeah, dude. Carpe diem.
so saddle up and let's go.
Let's go. Saddle up, partner.
Hey guys, welcome to another fabulous episode of Saddle Up Podcast. I'm your co-host Matt. G's with me. What's up, G?
I'm here again, man. B's up, man. I'm so excited about today's show.
The public has asked for G to come back, so we're excited to have you back again, G. And
Thank you for being back, man.
and this week we have none other than Dr. Maggie Hinojosa from UTRGV. Maggie, or Dr. Hinojosa, or Maggie, or I don't know what you want us to call you, but thank you so much for joining the show, Maggie.
Well, I get called quite a few things, but Maggie works today, so
Awesome,
we'll go with
awesome.
that. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, and please tell our audience what exactly you do for the university besides basically run the student services program and everything. Like, what do you do for the school?
I do whatever they tell me to do. My office is right next to a really great guy known as Dr. Guy Bailey.
Fantastic.
So he doesn't hesitate to stop in here and give me a few things on a daily basis. But in all, practicality, I'm the Senior Vice President for Strategic Enrollment and Student Affairs. So what does that mean? Yeah, that's a long title, right? With a lot of stuff in it. It means I get to work with a lot of great people who will see students all the way from middle school.
Wow.
Through graduation,
Wow.
through past graduation, as we have some great scholarships that we can talk about at some point as well. But this all entails, we have some K-12 grants that we handle in this particular division. We obviously oversee admissions, both undergrad and graduate. Graduate is new to our area. So like I said, it's never a dull moment. You never know when something new is going to pop up. Registrar's office, registrar's offices kind of get a bad rap sometimes. I was a registrar at one point in my career at another institution. And we're kind of known as the folks that hold down that GPA and access to your transcripts and all of those things are correct. But I tell people, what a lot of people don't realize is that the registrar's office is probably the one office that could shut us down in 5 seconds because those academic records are critical, and something goes wrong with a registration cycle and or a grading cycle, and we have issues. So very lucky to work with some great people in that area. We have orientation, we have recruitment at both undergrad and grad level. We have something called U Central that probably was not here when you all went to school here.
Absolutely.
No, it was not. No, it was not.
And I've actually been here 18 years.
Wow. So your first day on campus was 20?
Was 2005. Yeah.
05.
It was
Wow.
05. Yes. I worked with.
That's when I graduated with my master's degree from UTPA.
Okay. Well, I was 10.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly right. But no, I had worked at 2 prior institutions and got a call from Pan Am, back in the day.
I love that. Shout out to the Bronx. Yeah.
Interested in a position. And long story short, I remember telling the VP at the time, he said, you've worked at a couple of different institutions. how long do you plan to stay? And I said, well, if you'll have me, I will stay 7 years. You know, that's assuming you don't kick me out. He's like, 7 years, that's odd. Well, my daughter was going to be a sixth grader. So, you know, wanted her to get through high school. And 18 years later, I'm still here, and it's one of the best places to work. But we did not have U Central. Back in those days, it's actually something that we took from Brownsville when we joined. I always tell folks that, you know, UTRGV, the culmination of Pan Am and Brownsville, we're much better together than we ever were apart. And you can see it in all sorts of data. And one of them is what we call U Central. And those are offices that we have in both Edinburgh and Brownsville, where students walk up to a counter and they're talking to one individual about admissions, registrar, financial aid. And so you're not, you're not going to multiple offices. You all probably got shifted from one line to another, right?
We were bounced around. We didn't know who to go for what.
Yeah. If my beeper could keep track of my steps right at the time, I would have done like 15, maybe 16,000 steps a day, like just trying to go from office to office. So where was U Central when we needed it, G?
Yeah. Well, I'm interested to hear more about U Central. I'm going back to school now.
I remember those days too. And I remember student frustration. I remember being frustrated as an administrator, you know, speaking with staff saying, wait a minute, why would you send them over there? And so when we became UTRGV, Brownsville had gone through some changes and developed, these are what's known as one-stop shop centers. And so it was a great opportunity to also create one on the Edinburgh campus. And then we even centralized our call center. And so when you call UTRGV, I love this. I'll get an email and they'll say, I spoke to someone in financial aid or I spoke to somebody in the registrar's office. Well, probably not. They probably spoke to someone at our call center, which is okay. But this just tells you that you don't have to call multiple offices, or you don't have to go to multiple counters, because
I love that.
Yeah, we have full-time professional staff who are trained to answer questions in a variety of areas. Moving on, you know, I also have the student affairs area.
So what is that? I've always heard student affairs. What does that really mean, right?
What is that? Yeah.
So do you know who a dean of students is?
Yes, they overlook that particular department, right? If it's marketing or business or, you know, whatever, biology, whatever, they're the kind of the go-to head of that department, correct?
Those are deans of colleges.
Oh, okay.
So in student affairs, you have a dean of students. And basically what that area is under dean of students is our student activities and all our student orgs, student government association. A lot of folks may think that about the only thing they do is student rights and responsibilities, but luckily that is not it. That's not the only thing. We do have one of those offices. Those are things that, you know, situations that we have to deal with, of course. But there's always a brighter side. We also have student accessibility services in our dean of students area. Then at many institutions and here at UTRGV as well, our auxiliary areas are part of student affairs. And so that includes the union, the rec centers, right? And housing. And just to let you all know on in on a little secret. It's
Oh,
not. It's not a little secret. I mean,
Uh-oh.
it's kind of out there.
Blow up. We've got over 1,000 followers now, Dr. Matt.
Yeah. Shout out to number 505 subscriber. You know who he is. So
he's gonna be so thrilled. We are in the process of building a new 500-bed residence hall on the Edinburgh campus.
Fantastic.
We are at 100% capacity. So remember Troxel and Heritage?
I've stayed in Troxel. Yeah.
They were old back then.
They were.
You don't
Are they still used?
Yes, and I don't want to call them old because we have remodeled them.
Okay.
And it's interesting, our students who live there really seem to gel, right? It's almost a rite of passage to live in Troxel or Heritage. They are at 100%. And in fact, we have I think it's about 24 rooms, something like 48, 50 beds offline because they're going through renovation as well.
Wow.
Getting them ready for this summer as you know.
Speaking of renovations on Troxel, I recall, and I just want to apologize because if it cost y'all any money to renovate it, I stayed in East 202 and I went to Walmart and you could get that laminate like marble like stick, that roll where you could you put it over a counter and it looks like marble. I did that in the bathroom to make it look like I had marble countertops in the bathroom, East 202. So I apologize.
We will send you a bill.
Yeah, that's why he moved to San Diego, Dr. Maggie.
That's why I moved to San Diego, Maggie.
You had his Houston address.
I think we know where to find you now.
Yeah.
Well, I have to. Back in the day, I grew up in the big city of Fremont, Texas. You all know where that is.
I know exactly where Fremont is. Yeah.
And I was in band, and we would do band camp at Pan Am. And so I remember staying. I don't remember if it was Troxel or Heritage, but in one of those. And where on 107 now, there's a lot of businesses, Walmart, all of those were not there. And I remember standing and looking at, it was a drive-in movie theater.
Wow. Right there where the Walmart is.
Yes. It was a drive-in movie theater and we could stand out there and watch it. And I was in middle school back then. So
you were stealing a movie.
Camp.
You were stealing a movie. You couldn't hear the sound, but you were just watching the show.
That's correct. It was a big deal to be at band camp overnight.
And I'm assuming from Fremont, Edinburgh seemed like a big city, huh? Because I've been through Fremont. No offense.
It still seems like a big city. Yes.
So, Dr. Matt, I know you mentioned the different organizations, and that kind of sparked an interest, especially when you have I have a son that's 16 years old. There's plenty of kids that have so many choices, right? They all over Texas, all over the nation. But what kind of student organizations, aside from obviously what we were a part of, that was our fraternity, right? That was our athletics and basketball was our fraternity. What other things does the for that dean of students or that the student affairs offer for kids coming in and that organizations that they can be a part of?
Great question, G. Great question.
Yeah, and great, and it's also putting me on the spot because I'm trying to go through my head through all sorts of numbers, right? Because we've seen a significant increase in the number of our student organizations since becoming UTRGV. The most obvious, is our Student Government Association, which is the student leadership of the institution that encompasses students from the different colleges. And they're voted in. They're the ones that when you have to have some sort of referendum, like a little increase in an athletic fee, they handle that process. So they're the most, obvious and probably more well-known organization. But every single college, every single major has an organization that you can belong to and be a part of. That's part of the reason that we're adding another residence hall and really focusing on what happens outside of the classroom. And that's really the role of student affairs in general. I mean, it's all of our roles, but in student affairs to encourage our students to not just participate in the classroom, but outside of the classroom.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah,
and y'all just got voted, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but y'all just got voted one of the most affordable universities in the state or in the country? In the country. I just wanted to clarify. In the country.
Yes.
So now these students have a wonderful opportunity to get a first-class education and then participate in student organizations like you mentioned, or athletics or what have you. And that's phenomenal. Kudos to you and your leadership, and Dr. Bailey as well. So, I mean, kudos.
It's huge for the kids in our community. I mean, it's huge for the Rio Grande Valley. They don't have to leave. They don't have to go hours and hours and hours away, to get a quality education. And that was always the stigma, right? Especially when me growing up here in the Valley, that was the stigma. You got to leave. You got to go, But
and then they never come back, and that that's what we've really tried to address. We do have top-notch, great leadership team with Dr. Bailey challenging us, all the time to be able to offer the students what they would get at any other institution, because our students deserve that when it comes right down to it. Why should our students get anything less? And so they're going to get a top quality education. They're going to have opportunities to make lifelong friendships, right, outside of the classroom. And on top of that, they are not going to go into debt doing that. And we've done that in a variety of ways. So just to give you a couple of examples, just in case anybody's watching at some point who wants to send.
Our viewership has gone up, Maggie. Like they're watching now. They're watching now. So go ahead. Yeah, give us the examples. Yeah.
Well, and we, so that y'all can send your kids to us. But yeah, for example, when you enroll, here at UTRGV, your tuition and mandatory fees are guaranteed for 4 years. So when you start,
that's
what you're going to pay for the next 4 years. Now, there may be a lab fee, here and there, but that tuition and set of mandatory fees do not change for 4 years at that undergraduate level. They also don't change at the graduate level. So anybody wanting to come back for a master's program
or a doctorate, or a doctorate. G was talking about getting his doctorate, so there you go.
We can work on that.
Do I talk to you?
You can definitely talk to me. Yep, and then
go to the youth center. Just go to the youth center. Go to the youth center.
Or do I have to call the youth center? Yeah, I have a direct line to Dr. Maggie about my doctorate dreams. Okay.
Yes,
that's right. Absolutely. And so, that really helps. In Texas, we're all required to have that kind of program, but we're one of the few schools that mandates it, right? So you're automatically enrolled in that program. There is no opt-out. I think
I'd like to ask a question. With this new housing facility that you spoke of, is there any way that we could get it named after Saddle Up, the podcast? And if that's not possible, is there a way that G and I could get a picture on your wall back there where the helmets are and stuff of just us doing the podcast?
There is a way to get it named, and Dr. Kelly Nasor will be calling you all shortly.
Yeah, it requires paying a fee, Matt. I don't know if we're there. I don't know if we're there yet, but
We're
Not
not
just a small one.
maybe maybe you could just play the podcast in the lobby, just on loop. We'll settle for that.
And
Well, Doc-
I wish y'all could see the rest of the pictures, back there. There's some great pictures of the Brownsville campus, Edinburgh campus, some of our students. I really had fun selecting those pictures, and no, I'm sorry, you all won't be going on that wall.
okay, no, you know what? It's okay. We'll
That's a goal of ours now. You know what's funny is that when we started talking about like throwing this idea about doing a podcast about centering around the school, it was just kind of kicking around the idea. And G and I talk about this all the time, how it's manifested into what it is today, right? So I think we're going to manifest. We've got to figure out a way that we can either get a picture of me, you, and G, like framed in your office, like, hey, I was on the podcast. Like, these guys are great. They're doing great things for the university. We're going to manifest that. So
We can do that. There's space around here. Trust me, we can do that. I'd be more than happy.
It's your first
to do
podcast,
that.
correct? It's your first podcast?
It is.
oh, congratulations. Then you frame the picture and then their first podcast. Awesome. Now, why don't I'd like to share how we met, right? Because we haven't known each other very long. And we met a couple of weeks ago at Midnight Madness, and we were all judges of the dance contest, right? And how involved are you with sports? Are you a sports-minded person? Do you like going to events? Or is it, what is it that about the sports that attracts you to the events, and like, just kind of talk about that a little bit.
So I'm a fan of students.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
And you all did this, right? And so I understand what it's like to go to college. I was not an athlete. I was a debater in college. But we traveled as well too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know what it's like, and understand what it's like to carry a full load of courses and then still participate in whether it's athletics or your student organization, whatever the case may be outside of the classroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work, and it really takes effort and what we like to call ganas, right? And so at the end of the day, I'm a fan of students, and anything that I can support, in that extracurricular area, I want to do. Now, with that said, I've never been an athlete myself, but I grew up with 3 brothers, and my parents loved sports. It's something I grew up watching.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an enrollment person when it comes right down to it. I also understand and have worked with other institutions and have seen and experienced what a lively and impactful athletic program can have at your institution as a whole. And so it's not just what happens on that game night. Okay, games are fun. They truly are. Madness is a great time, but it's the experience and the opportunities that our students have to be leaders, to meet, like I mentioned earlier, their lifelong friends, and experience a level of competitiveness that you can't get anywhere else but on a college campus.
Mm-hmm. I love
It's
that
crazy.
answer.
Doc, you get it. Everyone that you work with gets it. It's like a one-minded, one focus, everybody's targeted. I mean, everybody's like mental direction is in the same.
There's a synergy. Yeah.
There's energy there. And it's unbelievable to see. I mean, with everything that's going on, you just see it, you can feel it, the vibe just all over the university whenever you attend any kind of event there. But last night, speaking of attending an event, last night I got a chance to talk to you at the men's basketball game against Southwest, and they did really well. But your personal assistant and slash husband, I got to meet him. And he did mention that we had to vet these questions through him. I hope that when he sees this, he approves, right? I hope so. Mr. Williams. And
Mr. 505.
Mr. 5 in the house. I hope he watches this. He gets a big smile on his face because you say he's a big part of your success. And but he did mention something to me. He said, "Hey, you gotta ask her about football. Ask her element of football." So what do you think about, what are your thoughts on football? We're really excited about football coming.
Super excited.
Talking about it. 2025. We got it marked in the calendars. We went and met Coach Bush. He's got that down. It's just exciting. What do you think about that? I know you're a fan of students, but how do you feel about football coming to town?
Well, let's see. There's a little picture of some football helmets behind me.
I would have never guessed.
And there's no pictures of G and Matt, so that answers your question, G.
And actually, that picture is relatively large. It's a little bit larger than I anticipated, but I think it's exciting. I think it is. That one aspect of athletics that we were missing that is almost inherent in the Rio Grande Valley. I mean, think about where we sit, right? Where we live. Think about our community. And we were missing this aspect in our community. And so it truly is an exciting time. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it doesn't come without its expectations and without some things that we have to seriously consider when you're adding a large number of students who will be living on campus. Like I've mentioned, I've worked at a couple other institutions, one with a football program. It's something that you have to be actively involved. There's a lot of rules associated. I was at a D2 school. This is D1. And so there's a lot, but it's an exciting time. You feel it from our students, even our staff, having to learn some new things. We do NCAA certification in our registrar's office, and we're talking about, okay, how do we shift things around, and we got to make sure we truly understand how to certify, and so there's a lot of behind the scenes things that are time consuming and make us a little bit nervous. But what this is going to do for our institution, our students, the Rio Grande Valley, is I think exciting, and really just can't wait to see it. I'm ready for fall 2025.
So are we. So are we. So are we. And we've got to go ahead, Gene.
No, Maggie, that's probably the next time we'll see Matt again, honestly.
No.
I mean,
no.
First game.
No, I'm going to come back.
I'm trying to encourage you to come down more often. Okay.
Yeah. I'm coming back to deliver the gift wrap frame picture of me, you, and Maggie on this screenshot so she can frame it and leave it on her desk.
You expect to see it behind me somewhere, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. I was told more live shows on campus. That's what I was told last night. Everyone, they said more live shows on campus. We loved it. Let's do it, Matt.
We've got to. Well, Maggie, we got about 5 more minutes and we're wrapping up. But is there anything you want to kind of leave our audience with as far as the great things that are going on with the school? And you kind of mentioned the new housing project. Is there going to be a drive-in movie theater on campus named after yourself? The Maggie Hinojosa drive-in movie theater, right? So
You know,
What's-
I'm not going to live that down. I can't believe I told that story.
Oh,
But-
it's an awesome.
It's an awesome story.
Yeah, this is a great place to be. We're at roughly 32,000 students, right? But you wouldn't know it because we still have that attitude of, you know, every student matters.
Mm-hmm.
And we understand that we provide a service and that, sorry, my lights went up. And that we not really impact the student, but their entire family, right? And so we take what we do really seriously and really enjoy what we do. I think that's why I've been here for 18 years. It's hard for me to imagine working with a different student population. And so I really encourage our alums to come back to visit, you know, our campuses, visit our Brownsville campus, visit our Edinburgh campus. We'd love to have you back. I know when I've seen parents who are alums and are coming back for parent orientation, and they're like, this is not the same institution. And the thing is, you know what? It's not, but the foundation is still there.
Of course.
So who we are at heart, and the care and love that we have for what we do and the students that we serve will never change, regardless of how big we get, how many athletic programs we add, how many student organizations. At the end of the day, we're here to serve.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
That is so awesome. That's
Yeah.
unbelievable. You know, Coach Lord and Coach Fig, we asked them for the recipe of their success, and they said, love.
Mm-hmm.
Love the students, love the players.
And there's a synergy. Yeah. There's
We can
definitely a synergy.
You love what you do. I know the students love you. You love your students, and you absolutely love what you do. And that's why you're successful, and the university is going to be successful. So.
Well, and
Hands down.
we really appreciate what you all are doing, and it's a lot of fun, but it means a lot to those, you know, of us who have been around a while, and those, you know, even longer than someone like me, and really laid the groundwork for who we are today.
Well, I have one last question.
Okay.
Speaking of love, and speaking of that drive-in movie theater, right? What is Maggie, what is your favorite movie of all time? Because we have a sponsor, Wing Barn. And so we want to, we always do a trivia, right? But what is your favorite movie of all time? A little personal glimpse into Maggie Hinojosa here.
Okay, so this is not going to be anything thought provoking. Okay.
Yeah.
My favorite movie, and when it comes on, I still watch it. I'm an 80s child.
Okay.
So this is not like some, you know, great.
G's going through the Rolodex right now. He's going through the Rolodex because G knows all the movie lines. So I know where G's going with this. So you name the movie, G's gonna pop out a line. Watch. Go ahead, Maggie.
16 Candles.
16 Candles.
Did I say 16 Candles?
You did, and you're right.
No way.
Mhm.
Yes.
I used to know every single line in that movie.
How did I get that?
G, give him a line from the movie.
Because it's one of my favorite. Well, I just love watching that movie. I have no idea. When it comes on, I'm watching it. The whole idea of them forgetting her birthday, and all the movie is just unbelievable. Yeah. Oh my God. And my sister had a huge crush on Jake. I mean, it was just one of the movies, you know. It just takes
Molly Ringwald, you know, come on.
Molly Ringwald.
You can't go wrong with her. You can't.
You cannot go wrong with that.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. That last question, I don't know if you know, Maggie, but we have an official Saddle Up playlist on Spotify. So we have to know what your favorite song is so that we can add it and you can contribute to that playlist.
Yes. Every guest gets to add a song.
Yeah, everybody has.
It is going to be, and I wonder if somebody's already done this, but it is Selena's Bitty Bitty Bomb Bomb.
What?
Nobody has done that. Nobody has done that.
I always tell my husband when we're at baseball games, you know what my walk-up song would be? And he's like, I know what it would be. Yep.
There you go. You got Maggie's walk-up song, Selena, Bitty Bitty Bum Bum. Now welcome to the plate.
That's the clip. That's the clip.
That is
Thank
the
you,
clip.
Maggie, I appreciate your time, man. It is so awesome to have you on and just grace us with your presence on Settle Up.
No, thank you all for inviting me.
Oh, we'd love to have you. Dr. Maggie Hinojosa, thank you so much for joining the show. Until next time, you're welcome back anytime you want to come back, talk UTRGV, whatever you want to do, talk movies, but you're welcome back anytime you want. Thank you so much. See you next week, guys. Till then, V's up.
V's up.
Like we weren't supposed to come up with something this clean, like something happened.